5 lost machines of geniuses. Imagine a world where electromagnetic platforms glide along rails instead of locomotives, where airships change course on their own without pilots and bladeless turbines power entire cities. This is not fiction. These are real projects by engineers of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Some vanished without a trace, some were deliberately destroyed, and one of these machines never existed, at least not officially. See if you can guess which one. Ferrari's electromagnetic platform. 1885, Turin, Italy. In a workshop at the Technical Institute, a generator hums almost imperceptibly. Along rails lined with copper plates, a strange platform moves slowly. It doesn't roll or roar like a steam locomotive. It glides smoothly, almost silently, as if pushed by an invisible force. This was the prototype of electromagnetic transport created by the physicist Galileo Ferraris, who discovered the phenomenon of the rotating magnetic field. His machine had no screws or motors. Instead, the platform floated above the rails by means of electromagnets mounted on its underside. When Ferrari switched on the current, the magnetic field itself pushed the device forward, without friction, smoke, or steam. The inventor believed this was transport of the future, ecological, silent, and economical. In 1889, he demonstrated the device at an exhibition in Turin. But the public understood nothing. Movement without visible wheels or engines seemed strange, even suspicious, and investors at the time put their money into steam locomotives, not magnetic fantasies. The project was quickly forgotten. Only a brief note remains in a technical journal. System unstable, not recommended for use. The device itself was either destroyed or dismantled. Ferraris had effectively created the world's first magnetic levitation transport platform, 100 years before today's trains that float above the rails. But the world then was not ready for the idea, nor for him. David Schwartz's automatic airship. December 1897, Berlin, Germany. Above a winter testing ground rises an unusual flying machine, an aluminum airship shining like fish scales. Heavier than air, it featured a rigid metal hull, the first of its kind in the world. This airship was built by David Schwartz, an engineer from Croatia. His main idea was to abandon vulnerable gas envelopes and create a steerable craft that would not flex, tear, and could fly in adverse conditions. Even more remarkable, it housed a mechanical stabilization system. Special pendulums automatically held the course by damping oscillations. In other words, the airship corrected its own flight without human intervention. It was effectively the first autopilot back in 1897. During its trial, the craft climbed to over 400 meters, but suddenly began losing gas. Due to a valve malfunction, it lost altitude and crashed. Schwartz himself did not witness it. He had died a few days before the flight and never saw the trials. His widow handed the plans to Count Zeppelin. He refined the concept, and within a few years, his Zeppelins were flying over Europe, ushering in a new era of air travel. Today, Schwartz's name is almost forgotten, yet without him there would have been no rigid airships and no long-distance flights before World War I. His machine vanished, but it cast the shadow from which a great story grew. Tesla's bladeless turbine. 1906, New York, USA. On a table in Tesla's laboratory spins a metal disc. It doesn't turn by screws, pistons, or even directly by steam. This device has no conventional rotating blades. The discs don't even touch each other. Yet when steam is admitted into the system, the discs begin to spin furiously, and all of it without a single blade. This was a new type of turbine that Tesla considered one of his finest inventions. The operating principle was surprisingly simple. Rather than pushing blades with a jet of steam, Tesla made the steam itself glide along the surfaces of the discs, spiraling inward. Through the so-called viscous drag between the gas and the disc surfaces, energy was transmitted directly, efficiently, and without losses. During demonstrations, this turbine reached tens of thousands of revolutions per minute. It was lightweight, compact, almost silent, and suffered very little wear. Tesla claimed it could replace steam engines, automobile motors, and even serve in industrial power plants. The invention was patented, and initial orders for experimental prototypes followed. But one problem ruined everything. Manufacturing technology was too primitive. At the time, no one could machine discs to the precise tolerances needed to withstand such speeds. The discs would deform, vibrations would arise, and the entire assembly would fail. Tesla did not give up, but investors lost interest. Several companies that had ordered test units abandoned the project. The turbine was replaced by more reliable, albeit bulkier machines with traditional blades. Today, the only surviving example of this turbine is held in a New York museum. Small, slightly rusted, with patched tubing, it still reminds us that genius often arrives too early. Lemieux's helicoidal acoustic engine. In 1897, French engineer and physicist Arthur Lemieux unveiled in Paris a prototype device he called the helicoidal acoustic engine. His design was based on research into resonant waves and acoustic pressure that he had conducted since 1893 at the laboratory of the École supérieure de mécanique, where he served as a consultant. The operating principle was unconventional. High-intensity sound waves were launched into a spiral resonant chamber, where they formed standing waves. These waves generated a localized pressure capable of imparting impulse to a mass in one direction. The apparatus comprised four main components: a sound signal source, a 3.5 kilowatt electric horn, a spiral chamber made of brass alloy, a damping frame, and a platform riding on ceramic skids. During demonstrations held in January and March 1897, before representatives of the French Society of Mechanical Engineers, the system moved a 112-kilogram platform, 4.8 meters in 41 seconds, with no mechanical connections. Lemieux applied for a patent, but it was never granted due to technical disputes over the stability and reproducibility of the effect. According to a report by the Paris Municipal Safety Commission, unwanted resonant effects during a third trial in May of that year caused microcracks in the laboratory's concrete foundation. Work was halted by the institution's administration. In 1901, Lemieux emigrated to Canada, where he worked briefly for Dominion Bridge Company in Montreal. His subsequent career is unrecorded in technical publications. The original apparatus did not survive. Inventory notes from 1903 state it was disposed of due to vibration-induced wear. Despite its limited application and lack of industrial adoption, Lemieux's project remains a fascinating example of early attempts to harness acoustic pressure as a propulsive force. Today, it is remembered only in the context of pioneering experiments in nonlinear acoustics and directed sound technologies. Gustave Trousse's electric motorcycle. France, spring 1902. On the cobbled streets of Nantes, a strange silhouette appears. A figure in a leather coat steers a two-wheeled machine that moves, without smoke, without roar, without chains. Beneath the seat, a box hums quietly. That is the battery. For the first time in the world, an electric motorcycle is demonstrated publicly. This machine was built by Gustave Trousse, a young engineer employed at an electric motor factory. He dreamed of marrying a bicycle frame to a new form of propulsion, electric. The result was a lightweight machine weighing 36 kilograms, fitted with a small lead-acid battery capable of covering up to 25 kilometers on a single charge. The motor was built into the rear wheel, long before integrated hub motors became standard. Operation was simple. One toggle switch powered the system on, the other adjusted the current strength. Its silent ride made a huge impression. Passers-by stopped and stared, unable to fathom how the machine moved without steam, gasoline, or pedals. The motorcycle was showcased at the Technical Club on Rue Jeanne de Lorraine. A brief note even appeared in the April issue of La Technique Illustrée, calling it, quote, the means of transport for the urban gentleman of the future. 3 more prototypes were planned for the Paris Fair of Engineering Innovations. But on the night of May 9th to 10th, a fire broke out in the workshop where all models, plans, and batteries were stored. None of the machines survived, the building's owner lacked insurance, and Strauss could not resume production. He was left with nothing. His subsequent fate is almost unknown. His last mention dates to 1905, when his name appeared on the employee list of an electric company in Lyon. Today, this story is recalled only by enthusiasts of vintage technology. Yet long before Elon Musk, Strauss had already dreamed of an ecological, lightweight, and silent personal vehicle. And for a moment, he made that dream real. We've just shared 5 stories about unique machines that could have changed the course of technological progress, but then vanished. Some were too complex for their time. Others simply failed to find understanding. And one of them, we made up. The real ones were Ferrari's electromagnetic platform, Schwarz's airship, Tesla's turbine, and even Gustav Truss's electric motorcycle. But Lemieux's helicoidal acoustic engine is our fiction. It never existed, even though it sounds entirely plausible. Yet admit it, in that era anything could happen, even this. Want more stories where reality blurs with fantasy? Subscribe to my channel. There are many more videos like this ahead. And next time, you might be the first to guess where truth ends and a cleverly disguised lie begins. See you soon. It'll be even more exciting.